If you're tuning in, you're right on time for Relationship 360, where we delve into relationship issues. My guest is here. Let's hear his voice before we introduce the topic for this morning, continuing in the series that has been going on for a few Saturdays now. His name is Olumide Kayode Omoshubi. He is a lawyer and the CEO of Gnosis Help Initiative. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. It's a very wet period season in Lagos.
Fact,
Quite cold too. Some mornings like this morning.
I had to borrow my wife's car today.
Oh, because of the water.
Mine is low. I don't want
to risk any car troubles.
People learn how to swim on the island.
Honestly, I've seen videos that are unbelievable, and that just goes to show the state of the roads, the drainage in the country, in the state, and a lot needs to be done. But we're not here to discuss infrastructure this morning. We're here to discuss relationships. So we'll be continuing the conversation on traits to look out for while dating. I know last week the malicious was one of the traits to look at, and this week we'll be continuing on focusing on that trait.
Last week was the liar and the malicious.
Was it two characters in one?
Yes, but we were not able to cover. We're barely able to cover liar. So today we would go
into the malicious.
The malicious, yes.
All right, let me allow you to do your intro so we have enough time to tackle all the things on ground this morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in early to listen to us again. Always a pleasure to be here. So today, let me quickly rush into the matter. We are talking of traits to avoid in relationships. The moment you see this, you run. We had started with pride, jealousy, the liar. Today, we're talking about the malicious, and when you are talking of malicious, you are talking about malice. Malice is divided into three categories. That is my own classification. The first are those that don't forgive easily. There are some whose hearts are deep and forgiveness is expensive. It takes a while for them to forgive when you have issues. They keep referring to the issue even after you've apologized. You know, some will no longer pick your calls or reply your messages, will block you while that thing is going on. Though you have apologized, then, you know, they keep reminding you that it really, you know, people that do not forgive easily, you should beware of them. It takes them long to forgive. They are in the category of malicious people. They hold on to it. Remember, I don't know, Onyinye, if you've had an issue with someone who, even when it was over, they kept referring to, it's like that day that you did this, or you're always doing this, you know. It's always referral to a past issue that you had, you know. They always bring it up. People that don't forgive easily, you should be absolutely careful of them. When you find them in a relationship, they are people you should not marry. Those are things you should not go ahead with. Malicious people. Now, there is, my second classification is that there is what we call dispute resolution. It's a common word in organizations now, because disputes must arise. Why? That's because we are all different. What I am seeing, Onyinye is not seeing. What Onyinye is seeing, I am not seeing. So that is why in relationships, you need to be with someone who thinks a little different. Nobody has 360 vision. So what you cannot see, they are seeing and informing you. And what they are not seeing, you are seeing and helping them out. But when both of you are seeing the same thing exactly, there is a problem, because who now sees what you cannot see? So when two people are absolutely alike, then one of them is unnecessary. When you are with someone who cannot see your nakedness, where you are weak, they are also weak. Where you are strong, they are also strong. So of what use is the compliment? How do they complement you? Because where you are weak, you need someone who's strong. Where that person is weak, they need you to be strong. But when everything is alike, and some years ago, a lady, not a year, it was here on the station, a lady called me immediately after the program and said that she liked what I was saying, and she wants to testify that in her relationship going to a year and a half, she has not had any reason, that is between herself and her fiancé, to quarrel. He said, to the glory of God, there has been no fights, no issues. It has been absolutely peaceful. And when she finished, I said, are you done? She said, yes. I said, well, both of you are actually in a drama. You are actually performing for the stage.
Wow.
By the time you come down to reality, then you would know that conflicts, not fight, but disagreements. You have to have a conflict of interest. It has to happen, because there has to be a point where you see how the person handles disappointments, conflicts, arguments. You need to know, and I tell people the danger of not knowing how the person you want to attach yourself to handles stress. You must know. These are things you must know. You cannot attach yourself to someone who you do not know his reaction when he's angry. You do not know how he handles provocations. You don't know how he handles stress, disappointments, how he handles things that where you don't know, there is a problem. Because now you get married and you now see another side, and that is when people keep saying, I never saw it, I didn't know he was like this, I didn't know she was like that. I keep asking, so what exactly were you doing when you were dating? I will give an example. When we were in the university, I had a roommate, very traditional guy, very funny. You know, he's just traditional, as in a pure, typical Yoruba boy. And he was just funny. So he met this girl, and you know, we're all clean then, you know, we're just like, I stick to one woman. If you meet a woman, so he met this woman, and he said that this is going to date only one person and then marry that person. So when he met this woman, he kept saying he has met his wife, and they started dating. By the next semester, he had gone to get a BQ so that both of them would, they refer to it as home. It was, you know, I used to envy her. I say Bambo and the wife. Well, there are so many Bambos, you won't know.
You won't know which particular one you're referring
so
to.
one day they got into an argument, and the girl walked off angrily. You know, he had not, that was the first time. So he was telling us that, say at least this is the first time they're having that. When he gets home, they will sort it out. By the time he got home, the girl had broken every louver blade. You know, then we're using louver blades. She had broken all the louver blades, broke the mirror, broke the little TV he had, broke the light bulb, and then got a stone and hit her own leg with it. So when he got home, he saw her lying on a pile of glass. There was a little blood because she hurt herself. And the professor that gave him the BQ, they kept hearing smashing and everything. So at that time, cultism was, so they were wondering now what is going on. By the time he got home and he saw it and the way she was, it looked as if he was the one that beat her. So immediately he ran back to the hostel and said that we should escort him to the house. I said, why? That she broke this, she broke that. That was the first time he saw her angry. But he had already introduced this woman as wife, not only to us, but to his family. Can you imagine if he had not seen that and then gotten married?
I mean, someone that's willing to harm herself
to
this guy.
I had not even seen that before. I saw it she broke everything, from light bulbs, she broke everything that had a glass, mirror, everything, and then he used a stone on her own leg. So she now sat down on glass. That was where she cut herself, and she was bleeding. You need to know how your other or your intended or your prospective
Significant other?
yes, handles all these issues, because it is there you would know if they are malicious. Now, dispute resolution is where you sit down and try to settle disputes. At times you invite people who are older or more experienced to help you, but the issue here is that dispute resolution is impossible with malicious people, because one thing leads to another. While you're settling this, they raise another matter, they raise another matter. It's almost impossible. It's like an onion peel. You remove one, there's another. It's like a squad of onions.
What if the offender, would I say, that is the one who offended the malicious one, what if the person just has a lot of offenses and it's a situation of, okay, your cup is running over now, and
It is
I'm
different.
just going to express myself?
It is different when you're a repeated offender, a multiple offender. But there is a time in the process of getting to know one that malice is the little thing you do. You know, you are not perfect. The other person too is not perfect. Or the other person is also offending this person. But you know, you just let it go that, okay, no problem, but I don't like this. So the moment there is, you just see that they have changed. They are no longer talking. They are quiet. You call them, everything is monosyllable. How are you? Fine. Are you still angry? But I've apologized now. I'm sorry, I didn't know. But it just takes them a while to forgive. So you need, when you find them, please leave them. You cannot, dispute settlement is impossible with malicious people. So my question is, when you are in relationships or in a relationship, how do you settle your disputes? Does he or do you settle or react to provocation? How do you handle conflicts, disappointments? By disappointment, it's not that you disappointed the person. Disappointments from like pressures from work, from family, from friends.
Lagos traffic.
There was a matter that came, the way the husband does. When he's very upset, he leaves the house. And the issue is, it's okay to leave, but he leaves for weeks.
It's not like he leaves to cool off
so
and comes
he
back
would
later.
go for like 2 weeks. But the issue is that it is not the wife provoking him. Whenever there is, maybe from work, pressure from work, he will just call that I'm not coming home today, you know, there's just so. What he does is he goes alone. And then this became an issue because at times he's gone for 1, 2 weeks. He won't pick his call. You don't know where then he just comes back home and, you know, he smells as if nothing happened. And I asked the woman, I said, did you not know this before, that he likes isolation? He said isolation is okay with her. But the issue is that she doesn't know where he is. He just switches off his phone and he disappears. So you need to know the way that person handles provocation, anger, distress. That is number 2. Dispute resolution, conflict resolution, whatever resolution you call it, never works with malicious people. So don't even bother. The moment you see that you're with a malicious person, end it. Now, the third angle to malice, which is the most interesting. Merriam-Webster defines malice as having or showing desire to cause harm to someone. Malice is the desire to cause harm. It is marked by or arising from malicious gossip. They say there are 2 things that causes malice. That is gossip and jealousy. Now, another name for malicious, first of all, you know that malice is a noun. That is, it is a person. So the person there is the character of a person. And they say as a man thinks, so he is. Your personality is those attributes that define you, that we know that, okay, this is Onyinye because of your character. So it is a noun. So synonyms of malicious, that is, other words for malicious, are spiteful, malevolent, hostile, bitter, poisonous, evil intentions, mean, nasty, unkind, vindictive, and vengeful. Now, in criminal law, acting with malice is intentionally committing a wrongful act without a reasonable excuse. So the point is, you cannot be mistakenly malicious. Malice is intentional. That is how the person is. There is no I mistakenly kept malice. It means that desire to cause distress to others, to inflict injury, harm, embarrass, or cause suffering to another. Now, malice arises from two major sources, that is gossip and jealousy. Now, let us start with jealousy. You need to hear this.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Be careful of those that cannot handle your success. That is, your progress is a threat to your spouse. So you need to know that, can this person handle my dreams? You see, some people, maybe the wife earns more than the husband, it becomes a problem for the husband. And everything, if there's an issue, it becomes, is it because you are earning? And at the end of the day, they just tell you that, I want you to quit that job. Why? Because they are insecure with the job. Why? Because they cannot handle your success. Your success is a threat to them. Now, this is either the person you are dating or your friend or your family member, that you see that your success is a problem. Even your dreams, what you want to achieve. Someone just talking to, there was a lady who was talking to a boyfriend and saying she wants to have 2 masters, that she would do one in philosophy and do another in one behavioral sciences. And the man said, is it you want to be reading that? So when they're talking about it and she wanted to start, it was like they were going to get married December 2021 and she will start the master. The man said, anyway, let's get married first. So when she said that to me, that she felt somehow when she said, let's get married first, I said, so why are you waiting till you get married? Why not conclude it? Man said he believes that a woman's place is beside her man, that you can't be going having dreams that even your man is not. I said, madam, that is a problem. Unfortunately, they got married. You know, she said that nobody can stop her, that maybe he just felt that she would pace it, that she won't do it immediately. She just came up with, you know, when you are living in denial, she now said she would do the first one, then wait some 3 years, that maybe she would give him time. As they got married, the first thing in the second month, he said, was that she should do business. That this her career thing is that, you know, if they have children now, so it will be career, you want to be, and it became a problem. And at the 9th month, he gave her an ultimatum: your marriage or your career. You need to be with people who can handle. You have to understand that someone has to be able to support your dreams. If your dreams are too big for your partner or your success, you see that malice there, then it becomes an issue, because they will start working against it. Let me give you the first act of malice in the Bible was when Cain killed Abel. What did Abel do? He just gave a better sacrifice, and it annoyed his brother because God took one and rejected the other. What happened? He killed his brother. The second act of malice in the Bible was when the brothers of Joseph conspired against him. Why? Because he dreamt. He had the audacity to dream that he was going to be important and his brothers would bow before him, and then they planned to kill him. They would have actually killed him if not for one who said, let us sell him into slavery. They actually wanted to kill him. And then they dabbed his robe in blood and then told the father that he was killed by a wild animal. You need to know people who are threatened by your dreams. You cannot have them as friends, not to talk of having them as a spouse. Look at the third act of malice was when King Saul wanted to kill David. Why? Because God had rejected and he saw favor with David. He just wanted to kill David for no reason. Look at the 5th act of malice here, when a woman in the time of King Solomon took a living child of her own, Abi, the dead child, and gave to the other woman, and now claimed that the living one was hers. When they brought it to, in fact, I wanted to read it in the contemporary English version, 1 Kings 3:16. It was so, when they took it, the lady said, we live in the same house. I gave birth to my child, and 3 days later, this one also gave birth to her child. While she was sleeping, she slept on her own and then killed it. While I was sleeping, she replaced the babies. And, you know, when I got up to breastfeed, I saw my child was cold. And on examining my child, I saw this is not my child. And the other woman said, it is my child. And King David said, King Solomon said, bring a sword. Let us cut this child into 2. And that woman said, yes, let us cut the child into 2. So none of us, both of us, nobody would have a child. And then the mother said, no, 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 no. I love this. Please don't kill it.
All right. Stay tuned.
So that 1 King 3:16 about the 2 women, you know, you will not, let me read it in the New International Version. Verse 19, that is 1 Kings 3:19. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. She got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side, while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning, I got up to nurse my son, but he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born. The other woman said, no, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours. But the first one insisted, the dead one is yours, the living is mine. So they argued before the king. The king said, this one says, my son is alive, your son is dead. While that one says, your son is dead, mine is alive. The king said, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave an order, cut the living child in 2 and give half to one and half to the other. The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved, and out of love for her son said to the king, please, Lord, give her the living baby, don't kill him. But the other said, neither I or you shall have him. Cut him in 2. To tell you how some people are, that my own is bad, your own too will and must be bad. My own is dead, your own too must die. You cannot be with someone who's when your marriage is a competition, you are competing for who is more successful. Whenever, you know, something good happens, you have to tone it down because it might cause jealousy with your spouse, whether with your wife or with your husband. I will give some instances shortly. The final act of malice was when the Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious leaders, came together on how to put Christ to death. They paid for his betrayal and arranged false witnesses and finally put Christ to death by hanging him. Imagine in Matthew 27:4, the Pilate saw that this man was innocent and took water to wash his hands in front of the crowd and said, I am innocent of this man's blood. And the people said, let his blood be on us and our children. And that is why their children are still suffering till today. Just because of malice. Why? They felt insecurity at the audacity of Christ. If Jesus did not suffer, and if he could not survive malice, what makes you think you will survive a malicious spouse? I tell people in malicious marriages and malicious relationships, I tell them you will not survive. On Thursday, 50-year-old Ojo Danion was sentenced to death at Shagari village in Akure on the 14th of September 2019. He locked their matrimonial home while his wife was sleeping and set it ablaze. After accusing her of not telling him about a car and 3 plots of land she had acquired. The wife secretly bought it and disclosed to her older brother that whenever she buys stuff and her husband is broke, he sells her things. So she did not disclose the plot of land so that he would not sell it. And when he found out, while she was sleeping, he burnt her with the car. The man was just sentenced to death by hanging in Akure on Thursday. You understand what I'm saying? Malicious, envy. When you are with someone who envies your... I know someone who, the day that he said he wants to be a clergyman, that he wants to go into the... And the wife said, no, you can't be. Then you will become popular. And then she can't be a pastor's wife. Oh. And, you know, each time he wants to go and he wears the cloak, she feigns a fight and stains the white and tears the white. In fact, after a time, the family had to intervene and take him somewhere. They cannot, when your dream is bigger than your spouse, when your spouse cannot handle your success, you need to leave, because Jesus Christ did not survive it. You cannot survive it. When there is malice, a woman called me some time ago, I'm rushing. She lost her sight because of her marriage. She was working and the husband lost his job. And ever since the husband lost his job, he had become more angry and bitter, started beating her, and everything she does. Is it because you are working? Is it because you are the one paying for this? One day she went to work, and while taking an order from a client, her eyes just went dark. She never saw again. She was helped to the house, and when they said that she's just shouting her eyes, she can't see. Her husband did not say a word that day. 3 days later, the man said, are you not going to go to work again? Madam something. And she had no eye problem, nothing whatsoever, and the husband just kept laughing. Now they are separated, but she is blind. There was another one that more recently, anytime, you know, she wanted to do her master's, when she wants to do, the husband said, you cannot have a master's when I don't have a master's. So he collected the money for the master's, that he would do the master's, then after she would do. But he never did the master's. 3 years later, she wanted to do the master's again. The man took the money. Till today, she has not done the master's, because the man would take and he will not do the master's. He will squander the money. You are with someone, you know, it is male or female, that is malicious. That is, your progress, your success is bigger than your marriage. He cannot, or she cannot, comprehend. Now, let me tell you one that happened some years ago. When I need solitude, I would go to what Yorubas call Orioke. That is a prayer mountain. And I would go there for days so that I could think, I could meditate, and I could pray. So I went to this particular prayer mountain, and there was this man that had been there. He said he was not going to come down because, you know, life was too miserable. He cannot afford this, he cannot take care of his children, and he was doing well before. That 5 years, you know, he started begging and that he would die on the mountain. He remained there. He did not eat, he did not bring change of clothes. So it became an issue. When they would say, okay, let people step down, he refused. He said he was going to die there. I was just wondering. And one day, one of the elders, very old man on the mountain there, now called him and said, what is the problem? The man now told him the problem, that, you know, he used to do so well. Suddenly he lost everything, that he can't even feed his family, that he can't sit down in that house knowing that the wife will struggle, pay this, pay that he's useless. And, you know, he can't just stand it. So if he's to die, let him come and die in the hands of God. That if God cannot change his situation, then nothing. So about 4 or 5 days later, the old man now called him and said, take me to your house. And he was like, he's not going down from the mountain. That if they are still thinking of a way to trick him, that he's not going. So everybody started appealing to him that, it's Baba, that, you know, this is Baba and all that. And I was just wondering, you know. And then eventually the man agreed, and the man took him to his house, introduced him to the wife. You know, the wife was not around, and when the wife heard, they just called her that her husband is back. Oh, she came, coming, you know, and met the man, and the man now said, can the wife serve him some food? And this annoyed the man from the mountain and said, I told you I don't have, you come to my house, you're asking that they should cook food for you. When I told you I don't, I think the wife said, no, there's no problem that you. So the man sat down, the wife prepared something, he ate. And then told the wife to sit down and said, how are you managing with the condition of He said that she sells Gary and does that, that she's told him that it's okay, that he shouldn't think, but her husband is kiniko. And she explained. Then the man now asked her that, what did he do to you? He said nothing. She said, are you sure that he did not? The woman swore. She said, no, that this man, is he capable, that someone that is so simple and all that. Then the man now said, if he did nothing to you, then why are you doing this to him? And the woman got up angrily and said that, what do you mean that I am doing, what is it that I did, this, that. And the man sat down and said, I will ask you twice. If you don't tell me, then the same you that entered is not, you should be a threat. Then the woman eventually now started saying, but, it's nothing serious though, that, he knows that they took her somewhere, and then, where women complain that, their husbands, when they get money now, they start getting girlfriends, and then they will give the woman that. So, he just went somewhere and, he told them that she doesn't want her husband to do well. So they said they should bring his singlet, and he took the singlet there. And the man from the mountain was just staring. He said that, he will not really make money, he will be poor, but I don't mind. I don't mind. I will take care of the house, and I've been taking care of the house. The man was staring and just said, what are you saying? That the husband was looking at the wife. What are you saying? Said that I gave them your singlet so that you won't have money. And the man was staring at the wife. It took 6 people to hold him. He almost killed his wife that day. That you are the reason I am. That kind of thing, that a woman would rather be that you are poor and wretched, because if you have money, other women will find you attractive. Do you understand? You need to know that the person you are going to be with can handle your success, can handle your dreams, can handle your... And when you notice, even if it is in marriage, and you see that this person is malicious, ladies and gentlemen, you will not survive it. You cannot survive it. You need to leave, or else you will die in that marriage. They will stifle you. There will be no growth. Only Adebanjo, who you heard of, burnt his wife Latifa after she left him over domestic violence in Otun Akute area of Lagos, of Ogun State. He had been beaten and left. She left, and he started saying she cannot live alone. If not me, she cannot be with any other person. And went to the house, threatened her, and that even with death, she would avoid him. And last week, this week, I think, last week, he came to the house. She was praying on the prayer mat, and he poured petrol on her and set her ablaze. Meanwhile, while she was burning, she grabbed him, and then both of them burnt. She died on arrival to the hospital. The following day, the man died as well. You just ended your life. Why? Because you are with someone who cannot take it that you have moved on, who cannot... Avoid malicious people. There is no other way I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when you are dating someone and you see, first of all, that they don't forgive easily. Secondly, dispute resolution is impossible with them. There's always an issue. They remind you every time that was how you did 2 years ago. That was how you did. When they always bring up old stuff. And then, when you notice that this person cannot handle you, or their vision of life is too simple, please move with whoever is on your level. Let me leave it at
all right, that's great. If you're just tuning in, Relationship 360 is what you're listening to. You've been hearing the voice of Olumide Kayode Omoshobi, a lawyer and the CEO Gnosis Help Initiative. My name is Onyinyechi Ekomakama, and now we're opening the phone lines to hear your contributions, your questions, comments, brief ones, please, on the topic being discussed. That is the malicious one in terms of traits to avoid in a relationship or while dating. Give me start with WhatsApp. Good morning. Ayo from Magodo is texting. Ayo says, Barrister just shook my table today. I am a little malicious. I was worse before. I believe I'm getting better. Keep up the good work. That's good, Ayo. At least you notice, you accept, and you're working on yourself. That's fantastic. Hi, good morning, Debbie. Okay. This is not for us. Apologies. Alright, good morning, Oyi and Barrister Olumide. Please, what's the name of the couple that got burnt in Akute this week again? I missed the name. Ola is texting last name.
Only Adibanjo and his wife, Latifa, or ex-wife, you know.
Right. I'm heading to the phone lines now. Please remember that you have 1 minute when you call. Let's do our best to adhere to that time. 99.3, who's my first caller today? Good morning. Thank you so much. Good to be back. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Carol.
The woman who said that Ogun for his wife. A friend of mine told me just like that. In 2008, his friend was working in the financial services industry. He had a low-key job, just trying to make things work and everything. So he had an opportunity to move into the big league. And he sent his CV and everything. He had had extensive conversations with HR on the phone. So eventually they were waiting for the MD to come and everything. He had interviews, one or two levels of interviews. So he had the last one and it was looking like he was going to get the job. Did you know that on the day that he was supposed to go, his wife locked him up in the bathroom and went out. In the morning, he was in the bathroom doing his normal stuff. And she locked him in and went out. Didn't come back until much later in the day. I said, it was a mistake, blah, blah, she didn't know and everything like that. So it was when the guy pressed, he now said, well, you know, if you go to that place, you become a big boy, you make a lot of money. Like this.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Thank you so much for your contribution. Wow, don't even know what to say. Apologies. Let's see who we have next. Good morning, 99.3. Good morning. Thank you so much for calling. Please do me the favor of turning off your radio.
Yeah. My own contribution is that it's about my husband.
So,
Is this kind of person that does not want me to work? There was a time I applied for Lagos State job and we were in the process and almost getting through to it. And the person that we were supposed to go through that was helping us to process it, my husband just went to him and told him to come and buy one thing from his company, 1 million. And that discouraged the man from helping us. Hello?
We're here with you. Go on, please.
Yes. So that discouraged the man from helping us and I lost the job. And each time, this is my 10th year in the marriage, each time I tell him I want to work, he will just find one reason or the other to tell me I'm not working. And also he went ahead, he told his family, he said he knows me, that I'm easily convinced. I don't really think, today I can't even fathom what he meant by that. That I'm easily convinced that I can't walk, that is scared of me going to mix up with men. You understand? And he don't tell me why I'm a graduate, but he refused to work. Even recently I told him, I said I was going to look for a job, that since I'm no longer getting money, that I need to work, I need to get a job to work. And all he told me was that I should take care of the children and do business, that I'm not going to work.
All right.
Why
he would do that?
You know what, man? Let me just in the law, in the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act, it is. Can you hear me?
Not really well.
Okay, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to end the call so you can listen through the radio. Is that fine? All right, thank you.
Now, listen. In the law, in the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act, it is an offense to deny a person, your spouse, financial empowerment to cost them their job. It is a crime in Nigeria. So when you marry someone who now perpetrates a crime on your own progress, that is to prevent you from working, it's actually a crime. Madam, you are just going to, as you are, that is how you will be. If you are content with being nothing, then you can stay. But if you want to make something of your life, then you need to move on. This is not a marriage. Now, you know the problem? The day this man just suddenly, God forbid, dies, then what happens to her? She has no source of income. The children will have nothing to eat, nothing to fall back on. And this same man that he's trying to protect, she would have to now start going to men who would now start giving all kinds of proposals. Meet me at Kine Congress Hotel and I will give you the money. That's what will happen because she has no skill set. Well, at the moment, because she has no current employment. She has no experience. She has nothing to write a proposal with. They would ask her what she has been doing for 10 years. They would rather employ somebody who is, I mean, someone who is mobile. And that is the danger of this. Madam, if you are hearing me, go back to your father's house and become somebody. I don't think God put us here to be nobodies.
99.3, good morning. Welcome. Tell us your name, please. Mr. Benga, go ahead, please.
Nigeria, tell them the truth. Last 3 weeks, a woman that called that his husband want to kill her, you told her to leave the house. She left the house, and you gave her money. You have protected her life. Some people called in that time that you should hear the other side of the husband. He said no. You insisted. That's good thing you have done. I love it. Keep on doing it. Telling the truth sounds like judging others. He who fails to plan is planning to.
Good morning, Mr. Benga. Thank you very much for your call. Benny is asking on WhatsApp, is there any way one will not have one of these ills? One of his character flaws.
It's like you are saying that, is there any way when the law, like the 10 Commandments, it's in Nigeria, you cannot kill, you cannot steal, you cannot rape, you cannot, and you say, well, we must be part of it. You are free to, but when the law comes down on you,
the law comes down on you. Ola says thank you for answering his question and giving the names he asked for. Blessing from Ikorodu says, good morning, good people in the studio. My ex-landlord was a very jovial and friendly man. A lot of people cherished him because of his personality. Sadly, one day he had a stroke and his wife was very happy and told him, let me see how you'll be going about making friends with people. Let me see who would like you on wheelchair. My ex was always threatening to spray my face with acid so that guys will not admire me anymore. I just ran away as fast as I could. Blessing from Ikorodu. Good thing you did there. Blessing. 99.3, welcome to the show. Hoping the phone lines aren't being affected by the weather. Hello, good morning, 99.3. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Do you want to tell us your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Teddy. I'm calling from Okota.
All right, Teddy, we're going to go to break in roughly 2 minutes plus, so I'm going to ask. Yes, thank you.
So, well done, great job. God bless you. God bless you. I got stuck on you. Told my wife about this to everything.
Wow.
I want you to quickly tell us the difference, because now the maliciousness, I see that over obsessive nature too is a problem. Over obsessiveness, many of these women, because they don't want their man to be with another woman, or their men don't want the women to be with another man, they now become something else. So is it part of maliciousness or over obsessiveness?
Now, thank you very much. Jealousy, malice roots from jealousy. When you go to the synonyms of malice, you will find out that envy is there. So when you are, jealousy is insecurity, simple and plain. When you are insecure about the beauty of someone that you want to just have. Now, the insecurity is that you are believing somebody would take that person from you, so you now put up a defensive posture. Everybody is a threat. Anybody that says hi is a potential affair going somewhere to happen, and it is actually now classified under a mental disorder. It is a psychological and behavioral disorder now. Jealousy is classified as, when it gets to a certain level, they say it is obsessive compulsive disorder. You cannot do that to a human being because you don't own the human being. You can be obsessed over your own creation. The people that design, for example, Mercedes-Benz, they can be obsessed over it, but not something you did not create, you did not own, you did not birth. You now would say, I told you of a story, the girl in our school, her husband just went, and when she came back, they had given her tribal marks.
Oh yes, I remember
because
that story.
Doesn't want any man. Terrible tribal marks.